Hey storytellers. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the foundational frameworks for story weaving, which is the body of wisdom known as the Toltec Knowledge. So I consider the Toltec Knowledge to be the original knowledge of humanity, or it's actually even older than humanity. It predates the word Toltec, and it is simply knowledge itself. In my opinion, every religion is basically describing the Toltec knowledge in its own way. Different religions have different focuses, different approaches to the original knowledge. And in my experience, the Toltec teachings are the most complete and fundamental approach to knowledge, to cultivating power, awareness, will, and intent. So you may be familiar with the books of Carlos Castaneda from the 70s and 80s. He made the Teachings of Don Juan series. And so Don Juan was a Toltec warrior. Carlos never developed to the point of being able to match Don Juan. I think you could say he became a warrior, but he never became a master of the Toltec. So going to different sources is really important. If you are familiar with the books of Carlos Castaneda, you might feel that they were incomplete, and they were. But they also did us an enormous service because they introduced and popularized the Toltec knowledge to a mass audience, and they made it accessible through storytelling in a way that you can feel inside of your body as you're reading it. And even though it's certainly an incomplete education, because it is not a training, those stories are what we would refer to as tales of power. One of his books is actually called Tales of Power. Tales of Power are stories of a Toltec warrior and their experiences. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, assuming that you're a storyteller, stories contain truth regardless of whether the facts are true. I'm going to talk about what that means. That's what this video is about. So once somebody has developed a certain amount of wisdom and power, they are able to see. They become, at some point, what we'd call a seer, or a Toltec seer. Somebody who can see knowledge, somebody who can see energy fields. So if we are able to see, and we can also see limitations wherever people are identified with their mind, where people believe that they are their identity, this seriously imposes a limitation on the experience of what it means to live a life as a human. And so at some point it becomes very, very useful to relay information through a different context. In other words, telling someone directly, here is what power is, here is what intent is, here is what will is, here is what awareness is, it would come across as theory. Even if I'm looking at it right now, if I'm looking at intent and I describe what I'm looking at, and that lands in somebody's ears who cannot see, they're going to hear it as if that is a theory. Even if it's not a theory, even if it's right in front of me and I'm looking at it. So because of this issue, it's like a gap in vision. It's a gap in knowledge between one individual and another, between a seer and a non-seer. One of the ways to assist somebody in seeing is through the vehicle of story. And that is why Carlos told his stories, is because he knew it would land differently than if he just said, this means this means this. And not only does it bulk up his content so he can sell more books, which it also did, but it gave him a vehicle through which enjoyment and fun and fear and bewilderment and all kinds of emotions can be felt. Because emotion is energy. And when we are accessing emotion, we are opening up our connection to energy. And knowledge is power. And as energy accumulates, it becomes power. A Toltec warrior is somebody who has learned how to make themselves available to power so that they can direct intent. And so, if they are using story to direct intent to a non-seer, that is actually a very useful vehicle to assist that person in becoming more and more able to see. Typically, story and storytelling doesn't create a seer, but it can lead a path to the catalyzing of somebody more seriously pursuing what it means to be a seer. And how amazing is it when a storyteller is also a seer? If a storyteller is not a seer and they cannot see energy fields and they cannot see intent, then they are telling a story where intent is still there, but it is ruling them in some way instead of them ruling it. And so the point here is about truth. Intent is the energy of what is happening at any given moment. I like to equate, like if you see a cyclone, if you see a little twister outside, or a big one, if you see a twister outside and you can see the wind is moving really quickly in a circle, you are looking at intent in action. So intent doesn't just require a person. A horse is governed by intent and governs intent. If you see no animals at all and you see like a wind passing through a grove of trees, you can see one tree flick around, you can see another tree flick around. You're seeing intent. The wind is very much embodying intent, right? You can see intent happening in water. You can see intent happening and sticking around for a little while in what's known as Curlian photography. There's a lot of different ways to see intent as a non-seer, but then as a seer, you can see intent in much more profound ways. So, intent being what is happening is truth. And so, if we are able to tell a story where we are consciously directing intent that intent, that energy is truth, even if the story is not real. A lot of people debate the Castaneda books, the Teachings of Don Juan books, as whether they're real, whether they're true or not. But those people are severely missing the point. Probably there's a lot of fictional material in those books. Maybe even Don Juan, or passages that were quoted as referencing Don Juan, maybe some of those never happened. Maybe they came from someone else. Maybe they were misquoted, whatever it is. But the point is that whether that happened or not, it is still relaying intent. The story is designed to manipulate intent. And if that is done with accuracy and precision, then it gets the job done. And the job is to help the reader, or in any story, the audience, the viewer. The job of transformational storytelling is to help the audience become more available to power. And that is what happens in the Castaneda books. The reader becomes more available to power. It opens something up in them. Even if the Castaneda books don't land with you, they can be difficult reads and not everybody is into them. The purpose of story weaving, the story weaving strategy, is to help you as a storyteller learn to see, especially to see intent, so that you are able to deliver truth through your story, even if it is a fictional story. Understanding what real truth is, which is energy, means that you get a pass to telling a story that may be completely fictional, but it has a core message of truth. Right? So that is what this message is that I'm giving to you now. The facts don't matter. Even the moral or whatever, that is not what matters. This is not about morals. It's not about lessons. It might result in lessons. It might result in ethics changing. But at the end of the day, telling a story from a moralistic place is not telling a story when we're seeing intent. Intent is all that is. Intent is what creates the universe. If we focus on something else, we are not focused on the truth. If we're focused on something else, we are not focused on the truth. So let me know if you have any questions. Happy to say more, and looking forward to seeing you in future videos. Thanks for watching.